Greetings. Having always been aware of my feminine side, it's hard for me to understand why males ridicule it, but I'll try. I guess they're envious because females are better off. Since my family was intolerant, I affected an exaggerated masculinity. A little fakeness there. In an isolated incident, I was playing war with the children down the street with toy guns and makeshift forts. One boy grabbed one of his sister's frilly and extravagantly colored doll clothes, threw it atop another fort, and announced, "You have a siren on top." We tossed this item back and forth, which represented foolishness and vulnerability. Males consider machismo as a defense and femininity as lacking defense. Even army tanks, though, representing safety and power, are literal shells which men hide behind. Men in tanks are paradoxically in more danger than unarmed women walking down Main Street because the tank becomes a target. Those who live by the sword get run through. Male disparagement of women in advanced countries often consists merely of offensive yet innocuous comments. Ignore such childish comments and appreciate your blessings. Besides, active abusers in other countries invariably degrade other men too. Men insult other men by declaring that they have feminine traits. However, the joke is on them. While they babble, women find more satisfaction. Rejecting feminism does not leave us with barbarity. Since the radical changes initiated by Jesus Christ, Prince of Peace, and modern technological advances, modern areas with Christian influence will never degenerate to that point. And as stated earlier, embracing Christianity's original teachings would eliminate abusive women and other social ills. Besides, our Western Hemisphere is drowning in feminism. Schools and movies push a feminist agenda. Every library has dozens of feminist books, and feminist websites are plentiful. Also, men taking advantage of women prevents men from ever uniting. For example, by exercising the chauvinist practice of polygamy, where men have 4 wives, only 25% of men could attain this goal, while 75% of men would have nobody. Undue machismo cannibalizes itself by requiring men to combat other men. Contrarily, feminism is communal, as women themselves are. Furthermore, even macho men allow women to so-called macho men allow women to dictate how they look. Since most women express disapproval of beards, even so-called manly men shave, thereby making their appearance more feminine. Although we don't see it that way today, throughout history, men had their God-given beards. Eventually, men might be expected to remove other things too. The crowning factor is the world suicide rate of males quadrupling that of females. Like I said before, and I'm going to continue to say this. Although the female attempt rate quadruples that of males, this is trumped by risky male behavior or quasi-suicide attempts occurring 100 times more frequently in males than females. Though some men claim that men who denounce feminism are afraid of women, it's more sensible that men who speak against feminists have the courage to do so, and men who go along are afraid to oppose them. There's actually a term for men who serve women's interests and oppose men's interests. Manginas. They coined it on the so-called manosphere, on the men's websites there. Moreover, fear of chauvinism is a sign of impotence. If we lack and consider disagreeable, seething male energy, we can never be great. The greatest changes on earth would be unthinkable without men's dominant driving force. Women usually get emotional support, whereas men are considered emotionless. Note that males, like I said, I'm going to repeat it and keep repeating it. Note that male suicide rates quadruple female rates. Generally, women closely bond, finding companionship from other women, so much so that single straight women combining forces have been colloquially known as a Boston marriage. Contrarily, males are conditioned to the point that 2 grown men often cannot tolerate living under the same roof. Men's right to have families is also threatened. One sperm donor can inseminate thousands of women, relinquishing men's rights in situ. Contrarily, men cannot receive eggs. Throughout history, men who didn't generate wealth or were not good warriors were treated like garbage. Even successful men are virtually tools, while women are considered fully human. Besides, men created the very technology which reverses roles. Robotics will nullify men's strength advantage, while women type faster on computers, perhaps from having svelte fingers, while men's fingers are relatively cumbersome. Women had no rights before 1920? No! Women had rights but lacked male privileges. I shall explain this difference shortly. Besides, with rights come responsibilities, often the responsibility of making mistakes with terrible consequences. If a magical pixie allowed me to either relive my present life over or wave her magic wand and I'd become a typical girl in 1910, I'd choose being the girl. Since magical pixies don't exist, alleviating these inequalities by granting men special privileges is paramount. Most women already have privileges over men, that of mentoring children, forming the minds and hearts of our world, and of being loved and cherished, far outweighing any male advantages. Even men of the highest echelon who have acquired said privileges often need to exhaust themselves for their privileges, guilty of being Neanderthalian until proven innocent. Most women are unconditionally admired for what they are, de facto women. As roses, chrysanthemums, and tiger lilies, I admired de facto. Although women never had it easy, their much greater acceptance has always lightened life's burdens. Some activities that were off limits to females benefited them ex post facto. Examples are stressful jobs, smoking, American football, former players have permanent injuries, unprotected premarital sex, motorcycling, chief cause of organ donations, the prohibition of renting rooms to single women, which actually helps prevent them from being victimized, and Mortal Kombat. Yet women resent being denied such glamour. I'm using sarcasm there. Although spending much of my atypical and idiosyncratic life resenting my controlling parents, some males, peers of mine, died prematurely, toilet rotten jobs, or have nothing, well, I'm on easy street.